What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Jake Shavink here, and welcome into a yearly tradition here on the channel. We're going to go over my way too early 2025 NFL mock draft. Always fun to see how much things truly change between, the summer before college football and when the NFL draft arrives. So I've only seen a couple of these picks, which will be fun. You'll get some genuine reactions from me. So without further ado, let's dive in.
Mock draft. Carolina Panthers are starting us off at pick 1. Obviously, if they pick here again,
the board looks
could be
pretty
the chance
decent,
that they
right?
move on from Bryce Young, but I think he's going to do quite a bit better with
Starks,
Dave Canales,
McMillan, Johnson,
in there helping run the show.
Deion Walker at 6, though.
Out
That's
goes
crazy.
Brian Burns, right, via trade to the New York Giants. In comes James Pierce Jr., 52 pressures, 13 sacks last season for the Tennessee Volunteers. I think he could be an instant impact player, especially in that Najiro Evero 3-4. So get an impact player off the edge. You help build that defense up while the offense gets going with all of their new additions. And you could have, something brewing quickly there in Carolina.
Yeah, that makes
Patriots
sense.
at pick
James
2.
Pierce, really, it's only the character things, right? Like, other than that, I think a lot of people still view Pierce as highly rated. He hasn't moved a ton, right, off the board. It's just really, until late, dropping out of the first round. But again, he's somebody who
Luther Burden very tempting here
still
for sure.
in play,
Obviously,
right?
you could see, what you have in Baker and Polk, and maybe go, maybe we don't have enough, and Burden could be an easy
Turns
selection
out
here.
you don't have enough.
He's a phenomenal player. We're going to go offensive line. Not sure Caden Wallace is necessarily going to be the franchise left tackle. We'll see.
I think not.
Will Campbell, though,
Yeah.
tremendous player.
Makes
for
sense.
LSU.
Could
in
still
terms of
happen.
pass blocking especially. Right, great footwork, great hand placement, good balance. Really well-rounded in all he does there. Instant impact, help protect Drake May for the long term. And with the lack of offensive line talent and depth across the league, it's hard to pass on an impact potential franchise left tackle early in the draft.
And yeah, I think Will Campbell, obviously, tackle, could be a guard, but I think this draft is going to reflect that, right? There's going to be a lot of teams just not willing to pass on O-line, which is why I think you might see things become scarce quickly.
The Broncos at 3 was
Broncos
tough.
at
Luther Burden,
3?
again, could be
How
in
things
play
change.
there. However, we're going to go for a toolsy pick. Very Trayvon Walker-esque. Mikel Williams from Georgia,
Trayvon
6 sacks in
He
each
still
of his
gets
first
those
2
comps
seasons.
now. That's pretty good.
Brings a lot of tools, good size at the position. Really could elevate his play this year and really jump up to this spot when all is said and done in April.
Hey,
the Broncos are
he
going
might
to
go
add
top
to
10.
their defensive front
It's
here
possible.
at pick 3.
It's possible.
Tennessee Titans at 4. Another tough one where if they're picking 4th, probably going to need QB help, right? Will Levis probably not going to be the guy.
Yeah.
But we're going to pivot. It's hard to project that. We'll see how things go. Right, this is an early mock. I want to make sure Will Johnson gets his flowers as a top 5 and maybe top 2 prospect in this class.
No Hunter
easily
yet,
been
which I think is
cornerback
interesting.
1, in my opinion, in 2024, ahead of guys like Mitchell and Arnold.
I remember where Hunter goes
And just
here.
the potential impact that he can provide you, right, in terms of man coverage, in terms of zone coverage, taking a part of
not
the
as
field
much
away,
man
lining up
coverage.
against your best receiver.
But again-
right, like that is very, very important. You see Sauce Gardner's impact. You see Surtain's impact. Will Johnson could have a similar one for the Titans. The Giants
I don't
at
think it's
5,
out of the question. Yeah.
I just feel like, Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, right? We're probably going to see that experiment fail. Even if they make
comes
some
Carson
sort of weird
Beck.
playoff push again
I
like
know
they
it.
did 2 seasons
This
ago,
is a
I
tough
just
one
don't
to
buy it
watch.
that much. So then it comes down to, do you want, a more precise passer in Beck? Do you want Shedeur Sanders, who has good instincts as well, maneuvering the pocket? Just kind of needs to step up and get better against the blitz, but he's got more off-script work than Beck does. We're going to lean towards Beck here, even though I think a mobile quarterback could.
That is tough. Carson Beck at 5, but that's where we were. That's where we were a year ago.
Be something that
crazy.
Dable would still want going forward.
Cam
Beck's a
Ward,
precise
nowhere to be
passer from
found
the
on this
pocket.
thing.
Good maneuverability, good touch, accuracy, all of that. He could elevate his play a little bit and kind of drive this Georgia offense. I think that could really sell teams for him being a top 5 pick, and that's where the Giants are going to go here. I think it's Becker.
very
Sanders
Giants.
is either
It's
has
very
an
Giants.
argument, in my opinion, for QB1 at this point. Not the best quarterback class, but there could be some risers when all is said and done. But the Giants
Like
are going to
Cam
go
Ward,
Carson
I
Beck
guess.
there. Washington Commanders at 6.
This
was tough as well, just because I think you could make an argument for corner here, but Jane Daniels obviously doesn't have the biggest frame. You know, he loves to run around. He takes some hits. Would love to make sure he's protected when he's in the pocket. We're going to go Kelvin Banks Jr., who I think has some
there we go.
refinement work to do in terms of footwork, in terms of recovery ability, right?
I still think he actually does have
feet
work
crossing
to do
a little bit.
So
He needs to be in better position and be more proactive in his sets, but
he has
a lot of
become more
tools here, and I
proactive,
think
I
you know
will
with
say.
the Washington line, there's a lot of mediocre there. I think they could get a lot better on the offensive line, and Banks would be a great step.
man, we're gonna pick
doing
Emory
so.
Jones in this thing.
Arizona Cardinals at
know
7.
it.
Again, Luther
That's
Burden and
tough.
Marvin Harrison Jr. would be an insane duo to think about.
This should be Graham, right?
But ultimately, I think you have to improve the defense. They are in desperate need of cornerstones, of playmakers on
this
that
has to
side
be
of the
Graham.
ball.
Yeah.
You're going to go Mason Graham, who I think, you know,
There we go,
you talk
top
about
10.
impact
No problem.
defensive linemen, right? The 3-tech, these pocket pushers, these impact players on the interior being so important to defense right now that teams are going,
true.
you know, taking
Yeah.
Byron Murphy types in the top 16, right? In trying to find that guy, Quinnen Williams, Dexter Lawrence. Everybody's looking for an interior disruptor. The Cardinals find one here in Mason Graham, who maybe could go higher than this when all is said and done. But Arizona
I think he's
desperately
gonna
needs
go
somebody on the
about
defensive
there,
side of the ball.
right?
Graham
Later
does
in
that
the top
for them.
10.
Vikings at 8.
This is Hunter, I think. If I
Boy,
remember
they've been looking for
correctly.
corner for a long time, haven't they? We're going to go
Yeah.
Travis Hunter
Yep.
for them here.
Wow, Hunter to Minnesota would be
Obviously
insane.
a two-way player, right? He's done some stuff at wide receiver. I just feel like his best stuff is at corner. I think it's going to be more valuable that he plays corner at a high level, that closing ability, you know, from off coverage, how much ground he can cover when he closes.
Yeah.
Enough speed, enough instincts, enough playmaking ability, ball skills. It's all there. Minnesota might have finally kind of solved this sort of corner curse, you could say, by taking Travis Hunter there. Raiders at
Can
9.
you
I
imagine?
think it's
This is Shador, right?
pretty obvious where we're going to go. Aiden O'Connell, not the answer.
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew, no thank
Don't take
you.
Connor Weigman.
Just need a good distributor out there. Truthfully,
Don't-
Devontae Adams, Jacoby
don't
Myers,
take the
two tight
Texas
ends in
A&M guy.
Bowers and Mayer, who should be able to make an impact.
Don't do that.
Get Shedeur Sanders in
Okay.
there. He doesn't have to be the engine right away necessarily.
landmines.
So that's nice for him. I still think he has a lot of high-level traits that are going to translate immediately. Again, just taking another step forward for Colorado this year will go a long way. But the Raiders need QB, and that offense could be humming with Sanders at the helm.
I'm just saying, Shedeur Sanders at 9. That could be the exact spot. Not the team, but the 9th overall pick.
Seattle at 10. I really, really wanted to take Malachi Starks for them
Why
just
don't you
because
do
I
it,
think
though?
using him like a Kyle Hamilton in McDonald's defense out there would be awesome.
Might be able to use
But I think
Emory
they've got probably plans for Devin Witherspoon to stay in the slot and make a lot of plays there. So kind of limits, you know, kind of lessens that need for a player like Starks who could kind of move around. So
he's
went a
better at
different
safety,
direction. I think they could
honestly.
use more help on the edge. Let's go Abdul Carter from Penn
snuck
State. Lots of
Snuck Abdul Carter into the top 10. Thank goodness, folks.
tools. Not a ton of production, just 4 sacks last season. But I do think the NFL is going to love physical tools. The testing for Penn State guys, we know that's off the charts. Seattle makes the move here at 10. The Saints at 11. I think, you know, we've
This could be
kind of
this
danced
could be
around
Burden.
picking Luther Burden several times. He could have gone a lot earlier. He's going to go here instead of a quarterback need. We'll see what happens.
been
Carr and
sick if we
Rattler,
got
I think the
Sanders to
Saints are probably going to potentially take
New
their time
Orleans.
with that. I don't know if they're going to necessarily be the team that pounces when the quarterback class isn't great, at least from what we see
They
it
might.
as right now.
They might.
We're going to go Luther Burden. Tremendous yak threat, excellent mover in space, but also has, you know, reliability, playmaking skill set in all 3 phases at the position. Him and Olave, that's a duo
be
that
pretty
can go
fun.
a long way
There's
for
not
whoever
gonna lie.
Plays quarterback for them.
I'm really interested to find out where Genty goes.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 12. Again, the corner run. This corner class is going to be talked about a lot. It really is.
Ooh, it'd be
Benjamin
interesting to
Morrison,
see it.
another guy who did pretty well against Marvin Harrison Jr. in a matchup.
That tracks. I mean, Morrison
And,
was viewed this way.
when it comes to playing physical, playing really refined football, Morrison does it at a high level for Notre Dame. 9 interceptions in the last 2 seasons. Look at this passer rating allowed in 2022, a 29.2 passer
He's healthy,
rating.
man.
He's really, really good.
Good chance someone gets a
really
steal.
could have an argument to go top 10 as well. But the Buccaneers will gladly take a player of his caliber right here and now.
That'll be interesting to see if Tampa Bay takes him in the second round. Obviously, they've been linked to Jahad Campbell, but boy, if we get Morrison to Tampa just a round later, that'd be pretty cool.
The Colts at pick 13.
By the way, I don't know if either tight end's going to be picked.
A lot of ways we could go with this, right? Like
This is
Colston Loveland's
Starks?
interesting, of course.
Oh no. Okay, so 2 seconds after I say I don't think we took the tight ends, I mentioned
But
Colston
I think
Loveland.
Malachi
That's great.
Starks, they need safety help right
Yeah,
now.
that
They're trying
tracks.
to patchwork it a little bit with what's
I think we're going to
with
get a
what they
point for
have
that for Starks.
in kind of camp right now. They went out and signed somebody, so I think Starks could immediately solve that problem. The playmaking ability is off the charts. They move him around quite a bit between the slot and the box and deep down the field, so that versatility could be
Did you just circle a spot that was off camera? What a
welcomed as
goober.
well. But Starks, tremendous
goober.
playmaker. Colts, maybe in kind of
I'm
a Malik
really
Hooker
nervous
situation
about
that
this
maybe
next
works
one.
out a little better for them this time around. So Starks goes.
Freaking Smitty brought this up because I'm recording this just after our mock draft. This could be yours, and I'm very scared.
There at pick 13. Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, my Steelers buddies are not going to like this at all.
no, it is Quinn.
We're going to take
Ewers.
Quinn Ewers, and I thought I wouldn't put Quinn Ewers in the first round anymore. You think I would learn. We'll see if I've learned when April rolls around and I'm watching this back.
Clearly didn't learn anything.
watching myself.
You dummy.
We're going to go Ewers. Lots
You
of
ain't
arm
learned
talent.
nothing.
I think that
Stop doing that
he
to
could be brought
yourself.
along pretty well in an Arthur
you're
Smith
such an
offense
idiot.
where you could run the football and kind of let Ewers sling it off of play action. Again, arm talent is just about
such
refinement
an
in his
idiot.
play. If he can
Stop
ever
mocking
do
him
it,
in the first round. Good
might
thing you
be
can't do it
warranted
anymore.
to take him in the
tired.
top 15. But again, that QB desperation is ruling the day. There's no doubt about it.
Of course we did.
Rams
that.
at 15. A lot of directions we could have gone with this one. They obviously loaded up
This
on
feels
the
like a
defensive line in
Buka.
the NFL draft.
It'd be cool if I called
past
this
year.
early, but obviously
really smart
it's not
by
gonna be
them.
the pick, but
Let's go get another corner.
nope.
Denzel Burke. Maybe not the best
that's
athlete in the
tough.
class,
Ooh, that's not good
but
either.
good technique, especially when he's kind of in press and in maybe soft press where he can kind of turn and run, but he does a nice job squeezing guys to the sideline and really cutting off big throwing windows.
That really
so I think there's a
hurts.
lot of good
This
technique
14-15 is
We're going to take
tough.
Denzel Burke for the Rams.
That's
We're trying to kind of
tough,
patchwork
man.
that secondary, especially corner right now with
I
someone
think-
like Tre'Davious White.
All right.
So
I'm going to early call this. I think I sent Genty to the Chargers. I promise I haven't seen this back. I think that's where Genty goes. That's just a prediction, though.
get a guy in there who will be good for you long term. Jacksonville
that's-
Jaguars.
That Ewers-Burke back-to-back is a tough
Yeah,
one.
I mean, they're going to
Ted?
like big dudes who test really well and who are just kind of game wreckers up front. That's been a very Trent Baalke way to do things. We're going to go Deion Walker.
Oh, that's
who
that's bad
I believe
also.
6'6" and 348.
Gosh.
That's nuts. And
He
he's
was
not
sixth
necessarily
on this
just a
board.
nose
That's
tackle.
crazy.
3-tech who can attack in one-gap situations and just be a disruptor. Imagine Walker and Joshua Hines Allen and guys like that just wreaking havoc.
Yikes.
That would really help
This
Jaguars.
this
defense.
little run here of viewers.
Browns
Burke
at
and Walker
17, I
is
think, is
tough to
interesting
watch.
where
This could be Tet.
it feels
This could
like
be
with
Tet.
the Amari Cooper contract coming to an end, Elijah
guess would be
Moore is going to be
Tet
a free
here.
agent. They obviously
Yeah,
have
this is
Judy
Tet.
under contract, but he hasn't quite proven everything to this point. We're going to go receiver. I thought about Teta Iroa, McMillan for sure from Arizona.
Iroa. That's
But we're going to go Emeka Egbuka. We're going to stay in state here. I think
That's
people
interesting.
maybe a little bit forgetful about what he did 2 years ago for 11-51 and 10. Didn't have the best 2023, but I expect a big bounce back for him.
did have a big bounce
potentially
back.
as the wide receiver one. We'll see. Obviously, Ohio State loads up really well at that
Oh my
position.
gosh, Harold
But
Perkins is on
Egbuka,
the
who
board.
I think could
feel like
be
I might have
potentially
taken him. That's
the number one
that's rough.
for that offense. So we're going to go Egbuka there at pick 17.
I think this is
Chicago Bears
I
at
think this is
18.
Scorton. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, offensive line, we'll see how that works this year. They're pretty young. along that offensive line. The tackles are going to have to step up.
I think this is
if they don't, we could obviously be talking about tackle for them when April rolls around. We're going to go edge to pair Nick Scourton with Montez Sweat. Scourton had a phenomenal 2023 season.
Yeah.
8 sacks.
Did not have a good 24.
Potentially elevate his game and get himself to a dozen sacks this season in the SEC. He's got plenty of talent. He's bigger too. Physical, can kind of be that.
He was not bigger at Purdue.
Speed and acceleration to power pusher. Opposite Montez Sweat, which I think they're still looking for that player.
This could happen.
So we're going to go Scourton here for the Bears.
That'll happen at 39 or 41, right?
Really wreak havoc and push the pocket with ease. Chargers at 19.
I still think this is Genty.
Yeah, another one where a lot of ways, a lot of Michigan guys you could still pick here at this position to make sense.
Call the Loveland thing, but I
get it. They went Ladd McConkey. I'm just not sold on Quentin Johnston. I'm not sold on Joshua Palmer, really. Let's go McMillan here.
Wow, it was
Arizona.
Ted. It wasn't Genty.
Really, really good 2023 season.
Wow.
Caught 90 for 13, 96, and 10. Really, really strong year for him.
It might be
a little bit more than a jump ball
Dallas.
receiver, but I think he can take the X spot in that offense and thrive.
I don't mind that. That could
with
have
McMillan there. Texans
out of the realm
20.
of possibility. This might be Emory, man.
The one thing I thought about with the Texans is if Harold Perkins, kind of the enigma of this draft, where do you play him? Do you just let him blitz and run around at linebacker?
No.
Thought about that for these guys. They obviously have Shire,
that.
and they're working on Christian Harris.
Do Loveland. That'd be sick.
So I went a different direction. I do think the middle of this defensive line could use some work, and Michigan's got another defensive tackle who
yes,
is a good player in his own right.
There we go.
Can be a disruptor, can help kind of anchor things in the middle, and Kenneth Grant. So the Texans are going to get better on the defensive side of the ball in this mock draft.
Kenneth Grant
Jets at
there.
21.
Actually pretty close to where I think he's going to get picked.
You could really pick offensive line for them in pretty much any mock draft you do, even right now. And it makes sense. But we're going to go a different direction. Safety, I think, could use a facelift. We're going to go Kevin Winston Jr. Phenomenal tackler, physical presence, playmaker in the Penn State secondary at safety.
Interesting.
I think he could shore up the back end of the secondary for
Probably more of a
Jets
box safety, though.
defense.
That's interesting.
Falcons at 22, another one that was tough.
A little unexpected.
But I kind of love the idea
this is defense
of Harold Perkins in this defense.
Oh, why are you doing
Let him
that?
attack, right? There's some guys, Ebiketie, D'Angelo Malone, kind of guys they're looking for to make an impact. They drafted both Aurora Rowe and Dorless to kind of make an impact along the defensive line. Haven't seen it. Maybe Perkins is still going to play off ball, but you can send him on blitzes. Just let him wreak havoc near the line of scrimmage and in space. Had to find a spot for him. The Falcons are going to be that team in this mock. Dolphins at 23.
Green Bay's going to have Genty and Loveland.
Yeah, we're going to go Emory Jones.
Oh, that's
from
so
LSU.
bad.
Maybe his best football is kicking inside. Maybe it's not. Maybe he sticks at tackle. Either way, the Dolphins need anything that they can get on the offensive line.
Well, that's true,
to
but they
help
won't do it.
Tua Tagovailoa out now. Extension for him.
He doesn't learn.
Tyreek Hill gets more money. Jalen Waddle's getting an extension. They're bringing back the core players of this offense in terms of the skill positions and quarterback.
And now they might not
you
be.
have
Who
to
knows?
shore up this offensive line. Emory Jones is going to do that.
Gosh, we're so
Played
close
mostly right
to
tackle. He
Ursery
has
and
some right guard
Simmons
experience as well.
They're so
Seems
close
like an
on
easy
that board.
selection for them there.
Wow.
Green Bay
I
Packers
can't wait
at
to see
24.
what this is. Oh, I know what this is. I'm calling it right now. I think it's Tacario Davis.
Yeah, I know there's excitement about Carrington
remember
Valentine.
this.
Eric Stokes is back.
I remember this.
I know Corey Ballantyne. People like him as well. I had to go corner here, especially with Grant
gonna be-
off the board.
it's gonna be
for them.
Genty to
I really
Dallas,
like
by
that
the way.
selection a lot. We're going to go Tacario Davis.
Yeah, I knew it.
6'3", bigger corner from Arizona. Had 14 pass breakups this past year. Good instincts. Moves really well for his size. I think could be a really,
go to,
really
like,
good impact
Washington?
player opposite Jair Alexander. So we're going to go Tacario Davis there
funny.
for them.
That's funny how that works.
The Dallas Cowboys at 25.
Oh my God, I gave the Chiefs Loveland. I know it. I'm also early calling that. Genty's going here, and Loveland's going to the Chiefs.
Thought about running back.
For sure he is.
Didn't love it.
Don't even
Thought
have to
about
question
offensive
it.
line
I
here
bet
as
you
well.
figured it out,
even
too.
with the Tyler Guyton drafting of him this past April, but I'm going to go wide receiver. I think, after CeeDee Lamb, who I expect to get an extension, I think everybody does.
Genty not going to get picked?
Who do they have? We're going to go Isaiah Bond.
Oh my gosh, I didn't
Plays
pick
well to
Genty.
catch point, plenty of speed. I think he
I didn't pick
is a
Genty.
good enough foil to what Lamb brings to the table that I think he can make an instant impact.
Who
in
else would
that
pick
offense.
Genty here?
Eagles
Oh my
at
gosh, he took
26. Another
Isaiah
team that's really
Bonds,
hard
which, again,
to
there was
peg because
There was a lot of talk about Bond maybe snatching wide receiver 1 from the rest of the class.
they just have a lot. And they did a really good job grabbing 2 corners for the future. They've always
I can't
added to the
wait to see what
trenches,
this
which
is.
makes a lot of sense here as well. We're going to go that direction just because, again, we kind of talk about this a lot where
oh,
it's
what are
just
you doing?
at some point Lane Johnson
what are
has,
you
who
doing?
has talked about hanging it up.
Why are you
He's
going
going
here?
to eventually. So you got to have the succession plan in place. We're going to go Ernest
Why?
Green
Why have you done that?
from Georgia. A little bit unproven. He's played left tackle, though. Maybe he can kick to the right side. We'll see.
dummy. Josh Simmons
But
has played
again,
right
it's
tackle
just,
already.
It's a premium
You
position.
idiot.
Howie Roseman likes to go that route.
Boy, there's a lot
And
of
it just
misses
seems like,
on this.
you know, Green could be one of
Gosh,
those guys who has that
Genty?
big rise. And maybe the Eagles won't even have a chance to take
I think the only way Genty goes in this first round is if I picked him for like Cincinnati.
him, but it could be a BPA
But even then, that
type
seems
of situation for
kind
them.
of wild.
Detroit Lions.
I am still calling Loveland to the Chiefs, though.
Obviously, McMillan would have been excellent here. I think they're hoping for something out of Jamison Williams this year on the
And
outside.
they got it. They got it. Good for them.
I went edge here. Landon Jackson, big guy, 6'7", 282. Big guy on the
not quite
edge
that
opposite
big,
Aiden Hutchinson. We're going to do that. I think he's shown
Princely,
a lot of promise.
Ashton,
he looks eerily similar to
Tuimoloau,
Lucas Van
Sawyer,
Ness.
all these guys at the top.
And I
Oh,
think
man.
he can play like that
I remember the Patrick Payton hype, too, from Florida State.
as well. So the Lions are going to
I
get
remember that.
beefed up there at edge at pick 27, pick 28 Bengals. Yeah, we're going to take one of them. Ashton
Okay.
Genty from
Well, we got
Boise
Genty.
State.
Genty got taken.
2 great years at Boise State. Obviously needs to
And here
continue
we
to show
go.
it when he plays against top
Buddy, you aren't even ready for this next year of Genty.
competition, but 6.2 yards per carry last season, 14 touchdowns. Did enough in the passing game.
Yeah.
And so I think he can be that
578
that
receiving
three-down
yards
player
as
the
a
Bengals
sophomore.
really don't have
Gosh,
right
if
now.
the
at running
Bengals
back
got
of trying
Genty,
to
that'd be nuts.
work with Zach Moss and Chase
we got
Brown to this
Genty in the
point. Let's
first.
just get
That
a
would've been a tough
star
scene.
in there in the making. Buffalo Bills at 29. Yeah, they're looking for stuff from Von Miller and company on the edge.
Ooh, not Jack Sawyer.
Let's go get Kamon Rucker from North Carolina, who I think
there was a lot of
could be a little bit overlooked right now. 8 sacks this past season.
Yeah.
I think he's due for a big
Not exactly,
year, and I
but
think he will find his way into the first round. So we're going to give him
That's tough.
to the Buffalo Bills.
It's not the best one either.
The Ravens need offensive
There's a lot
line
of
help
misses
here
in
at
here.
30. There's no doubt. They're obviously trying Rosengarten and company
Take
in
Jonathan
there,
Jackson.
kind of fill some holes.
Simmons?
But Ronnie Stanley hasn't been
Simmons?
healthy.
Simmons?
They've kind of had to rotate guys in.
Simmons.
They lose Morgan Moses.
Could we get
right?
Simmons?
They lost John
This is probably
Simpson,
gonna be
so
like-
they gotta kind of get this thing
If
right.
it's Blake Miller, that hurts so much.
I'm gonna butcher this for sure, but let's go Jonah Savai-Ainea from Arizona.
That's not the
here,
worst
who I think
butchering
jumps
that
into the
there's ever
first
been
round.
on
He's
this
played
channel,
right guard
I
and
will
right
say.
tackle. That type of flexibility
It's not horrible,
will probably
but-
be welcomed by the Baltimore Ravens.
Not terrible, but it would have been
Niners
cool to have
at
Josh Simmons
31.
in the first round.
Another team that's tough to figure out. I looked through corner, and then I'm like, well, they drafted Bernardo Green.
Do?
Corner could still be something that's in play here. There are
Booker?
still some talented players on the board. Jabbar Muhammad for sure being one of them. Kobe Bryant from Kansas.
We stand Kobe Bryant.
But we're going to go edge. We're going to get Jack Sawyer to pair with
That's
Nick Bosa,
This is a
another
rough one.
Ohio
This
State
is not
edge
great.
rusher.
Gosh,
Now
look
for the
what's on the
Chiefs, who
board.
just kind of
from
vibe in the first
21
round
on.
usually.
It's tough to see.
Could go edge here. Could go interior defensive line.
Yikes.
Wouldn't be upset about either. Could go offensive tackle. Wouldn't be upset at all. But they have obviously
Take
have
it, do it.
Suamataia
I
in
know
there,
this is Loveland.
who
I know
could
myself.
make an
I
impact.
know myself too well.
if he gets a chance to.
I know it. Calling it.
I mean, they drafted Jared Wiley, but what does that mean, really?
exactly. What is
Right,
it?
Travis
Nothing.
Kelce probably not going to play that much longer.
Could you
maybe a couple
imagine if
seasons
this
or so.
happens?
Let's go get Colston Loveland from Michigan.
Yes. Got him
who
in
you
the
know,
first.
is someone who averaging over 14 and a half yards per reception in 2 seasons, where he could just kind of be that seam stretcher, middle of the field tight end that Patrick
He's
Mahomes
more.
could
But
rely
could you
on.
imagine that? This is
So
tough.
there you guys go.
This
One
is a
round,
tough one
way
to
too
see.
early, 2025 NFL.
Yeah, so there's a lot of rough ones in here. Carson Beck starting us out, right? Obviously, Quinn Ewers, Denzel Burke, that was tough to see. And then when it got to 21, boy, we went way off the rails. Harold Perkins, Emory Jones, Tacario Davis, Isaiah Bond, Ernest Green. Boy, I mean, that's tough. That is something else. And that's why it's really fun to kind of look back at these. There will certainly be guys that you'll get to see in the first round here that we got, but I think there have been better years for sure. So that's, not my best. We'll kind of run it back for 2026, but hope you guys enjoyed this reaction video. It's always a fun one to do every year. 2025 NFL draft show coming up Thursday and Friday. Hope you guys tune in for that, and a lot more draft coverage pre and post draft here on the channel. So hope you guys stick around for that. I'll catch you guys in the next video though. Farewell.